Hello guys, so we are now in Paris and here with you Anna Tutova, co-founder of Coins Telegram, and our guest Jsquare, who is founder of DFG fund. It's like his family office fund of around $1 billion under management, and they invest into crypto space since 2015, and he has as well another fund, Jsquare, and they as well invest into early stage crypto startups. Great to have you here, James.
Thank you, really. Thanks. Hello, everyone. This is James, and founder and CEO of DFG, and co-founder and chair of Jsquare. So I manage to investment vehicle. And have been working for the crypto industry for 8 years. So we'd love to, spending our money and resources to supporting different good founders in the space.
So can you tell us about your background? What did you do before getting into crypto space, and how did you discover Bitcoin first?
Yeah, thanks. Actually, buy my first Bitcoin like a decade ago in 2013.
Wow.
So when I was studying Fudan University for a master degree, for the bachelor degree. So actually, just coincidentally, I know about Bitcoin. I know about Bitcoin first. But at first, I didn't get any return. But gradually, I think these things have good volatility, and it's very interesting. So I dig into the technology a little bit further. I think I totally agree with the vision of Bitcoin. Then I feel like this is okay. Crypto is something I'm going to do, in my career. So I start DFG when I start a master degree in Columbia University in US. So I started a company back to 2015, and not only invest.
What did you study?
2015.
No, like what was your major? What did you study?
Oh, because I think there are so many things can be done in the crypto space. So I guess instead of just buying Bitcoin, we want to also supporting the founders in the crypto space. So that's why we start DFG. And I studied statistics in Columbia University at that time. So it's a master degree. So after graduating actually from Columbia, actually really fully committed to building this company.
That's great. So what was your first impression when you discovered and bought Bitcoin in 2013? Was it for you just like experiment game, or did you see a big future for this asset, like the next revolution?
Yeah, sure. To be perfectly honest with you, I think when I buy Bitcoin for the first time, I really don't know what is Bitcoin. So I just think this is interesting. A very good idea. I just want to buy it. Really, after actually a few years, stuff around 2015, or like maybe digging into the white paper and the industry for like probably 2 years, then I really understand this is really something going to help us change a lot in the financial system. So I think this is something we are going to working for in the long term. So then I start DFG and really working in this industry.
And what were your first investments as VC fund?
Oh, okay. So there's like I think there are a couple of investments we do for the. I started DFG back to 2015, but I do writing the first check probably in 2016 to a few companies there. There's one called Repeal. It's actually the largest wallet and exchange in Argentina. So they are still doing pretty well right now.
How did you find them at that time with
Oh,
the investment opportunity in
yeah,
Latin America?
because it's a super small industry back to 2015, 2016. So basically all the founders and investors in the crypto community will go to probably just consensus, that conference, and you can basically know everyone throughout the conference. So I talked to everyone in the conference. I found there's a few interesting projects, so I decided to invest. Repeal is definitely one of my first investment there.
Maybe you can share us any other your earliest investments?
Yeah, sure. There's another one. There's one company called Ledger X. So actually, as a CFTC license option trading platform in US. But at that time we invested, haven't got a license yet. They get a license in later 2017, and they launched the product afterwards. And they're actually acquired by FTX, during the last quarter. So this is also another investment I have done. And also we invest into a company called Block, which is also two Bitcoin OGs founding that Jeff Garzik and Matt. So they are doing more enterprise adoption at that time. There's also a few exchange we invest.
It sounds actually like company of Jack Dorsey.
Oh no, no.
He renamed Square to Block.
Oh, it's a different one called Gifgazi. So
Okay.
and a company called Block. So it's also a very interesting company. There's a few other exchange we invest. One's called Biso. It's the largest exchange in Mexico. And there's a few also Bitcoin use cases we invest called Rootstock, RSK. That's the Bitcoin sidechain. So in the first bunch of equity investment, we actually invest into a lot of uh, you know uh, Bitcoin use cases and exchange because that's the only thing in the industry at that time. So not even Ethereum. So that's pretty early stage. In the industry, it's all about Bitcoin. So.
And when you invest into Bitcoin first in 2013, did you buy it on any Chinese exchange, or what challenges did you face?
Yeah.
Was it easy?
Yes, we own. There's only three exchange at the time in about offer Bitcoin kind of, and most of trading volume actually happen at BTCC, OKX, and Huobi. So that's the only three exchange you can have enough liquidity to buy Bitcoin. So we actually use all of these three exchange to buy Bitcoin at the time. So.
And you as well very big in Polkadot and Polkadot ecosystem. So can you tell how did you discover first Polkadot and why you're so bullish on this ecosystem on this layer one?
Absolutely, thanks. I think we started investing to Polkadot back to 2017. So after Gavin Wood started idea about building Polkadot, I've been really impressed by his vision. I guess one thing we all agree is the chain is the multi-chain future. The future didn't belong to one single chain; it's the multi-chain one. But cross-chain is really um, the potential solution for connecting all these kind of chain, right? So if you can have all these kind of isolated island, then what's the point about having these isolated partners? Should be connected with each other, right? So that's the reason why we think the vision about Polkadot is really great. So we invest into Polkadot back to 2017, and we keep investing to 2019 as well after it got listed in 2020. So we invest a lot into the Polkadot and the ecosystem during the last few years.
So now we have so many other layer ones, layer twos. You invested as well into Shardrium and layer one as well. You mentioned Solana. So how what's the competition do you see now, and how do you see in the future coexistence of all these layer ones and layer twos? Do you think like any of them will die, and do you see still a lot of activity in Polkadot ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So great question, actually. I think all the things happen are the scalability issues because of scalability issues, right? So in 2017, because when ICO was very popular, and when there's a big bull market, you see a lot of transaction, and Bitcoin faced a lot of kind of problem about because the TPS, but Bitcoin has 7 transactions per second, right? So we have all the people transfer different Bitcoin to each other. Then because of that problem, we have different solutions like Bitcoin Cash and other problem to increase the block size, whatever, just to make sure we have higher TPS because we need to have higher TPS to afford all these kind of transactions. Otherwise, Bitcoin network will be too crowded, right? So same logic for Ethereum as well. During the 2017 bull run, so people are trying to solve the scalability issues of Ethereum as well. So that's why all these kind of chain trying to fork Bitcoin and came out, but it turns out it didn't work very well. And during the last bull market, there will be other solutions came out like Solana network, like Avalanche. They are trying to solve the problem by building another system, right? So this is the way to solve it. But since turned out Solana network also crashed a lot of times when transaction is very crowded. So it's also very there's also some issue about that. So I mean, then we have a bear market last year, and we're still in a bear market. But I think scalability issue is still one of the most important things in the next bull run. So there will be two potential narratives for this. The first is solving this by Ethereum plus layer 2, right? Because Ethereum have the strongest consensus on the security side. And also, people all recognize Ethereum as probably one of the safest chain around 1% Bitcoin. So, a lot of people believe in the vision of Ethereum plus layer 2 will be the end game for for these scalability issues, which could be. And we can see different roll-up came out with optimism, Arbitrum first, then ZK roll-up like Jsquare and others. So that's one category. The other category is to trying to solve this by building another layer one protocol. There's a lot of new layer one protocol, came out like Aptos and Sui using Move language, and there's one we just invest but haven't announced it, called Lineary. There's also a Move language layer one protocol, and this kind of potential layer one protocol can solve the scalability issues from the other perspective other than Ethereum plus layer two. So that's another potential solution and the narrative. But we just never know which one will be the eventually winner. Probably both of them will coexist for a long time in the next bull run. But it's very hard to say who will be the eventually be the winner of the end game of solving the scalability issues, right?
And did you invest as well into Aptos and Sui?
We did invest into these two. To be honest, we feel the valuation is slightly too high than we expected. We do invest into Lineary. This one is, I think, very reasonable valuation, very good team building on that. So that's really a good investment for us, I would say. Yeah.
So how do you evaluate whether it's right valuation or whether it's too high? And like now we are obviously still in some kind of bear market or in the transition from bear market to bull market. So what can you say about current valuations on the market now?
Yeah, great question. I think the valuation, the ways to calculate the valuation of a protocol is definitely different, very different than the traditional equity investment. Because actually investment, you can't have all this kind of financial data so you can analyze, right? What is the price earning ratio, right? So this is very easy for all these kind of investment in equity side, because there's one specific sector, like say maybe food, and the other is airline, whatever. There's like a very kind of comprehensive model to analyze what it should be the fair valuation. But in the crypto industry, especially on the protocol side, it's really hard to evaluate, right? So because your token invests are basically not a security. So you cannot evaluating the protocol by how much money they made, right? From my logic, from my perspective, to evaluating a protocol, it's more based on how many users you have and how many transactions you do. Actually, how big is your ecosystem? It's actually a way to evaluate your network. It's different from the logic of security or stock. It's more for the logic about currency, right? Just how big should US dollar be? How big should euro be? It's more about how people is using euro, how many people are using US dollar, right?
So you consider by some kind of network effect by the adoption of the users?
Yeah, because more people there's more people using the money and more people using Bitcoin, then Bitcoin now will be much more valuable. That's the logic. So it's different from the traditional active investment, I would say. But it's really, still it's very hard to figure out what is a real valuation, what is a fair valuation for a protocol.
And what are your investment criteria? How do you define whether it's worth to invest into this or that project or not?
Yeah, I think one important investment criteria we have is holding the project for at least for 4 cycle. Because if you can not survive a 4 cycle, then it's probably not worth investing. It's all about short-term play, but we want to play more longer term. Simply because when we analyze all the investment we have done in the 8 years, I think still Bitcoin will probably give us the highest return. So if something is really valuable in the long term, these things could give you the highest return. Then you do a couple of short-term investment. So that's the logic we actually summarized during my last 8 years investment career in the crypto industry. So I think we should at least hold it in the token for a 4 cycle, and let's see what happened then. So if that is a criteria, I would say, unless this project is super promising in the long term, we are going to predict what kind of things is going to work like 3 years later or 4 years later. Then if we believe this project will still survive at that time, still doing pretty good at that time, then we will probably invest.
So it's some kind of futurism. You should predict the trends whether anything will survive or not. So
Yeah.
how do you define that?
Yeah, good question. I think we separate, there's two things, right? Infrastructure and application, right? So we actually separate this into different categories. For infrastructure, I think the most important thing is the technology. And you need to at least finding a specific angle and solving the problem. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for you to do innovation on the same vertical. It's probably make more sense to you do real innovation, like a step forward technology. Like say, because nobody is solving this questions, problem, then Polkadot's doing that, then we invest in Polkadot. So this is why the logic why we invest in Polkadot, because we are finding an angle which nobody can solve on the infrastructure side, and you have strong team and tech ability to solve that, then we will invest. So that's on the infrastructure side. The other is more about application. What what we don't like is the project trying to using a lot of copy paste. They using they're using their resources and relationship, and in one specific layer one ecosystem whatever, but by copy other kind of business model in other ecosystem and use that in that ecosystem. I don't think that's going to last for a long time.
Do you think that Aptos and Sui are copy paste because they're on the same language?
No, I don't think they are. On the tech side, they are very different. On the application side, I'm pretty sure there will be some of the DAX or like Lightning protocol. They're just trying to copy Uniswap or make it or whatever, reuse to the other ecosystem. That's really something we don't like. Because eventually, I think we are entering the multi-chain world. Maybe Uniswap can deploy on all the chains, right?
Yeah.
So then what's the point about why we should need another DAX in this specific layer one protocol? That makes no sense. So I think, what we want to invest in the application side is more about something really innovative and can bring massive adoptions into the crypto space.
And what use cases are most exciting for you? What type of applications do you really need?
Sure. So I think there's a few of them. For example, there's one AI project we invest called ChainSafe Network. A16 is leading their restaurant, they're giving A16 invest $40 million for that round. I think, AI is definitely something we feel very interesting. They do.
So how do they apply AI and crypto?
They do like big training models, and they will potentially probably issue a token in the future. So they are still an AI play, but they will issue a token for the network. There's another AI project called Render Network. We are also the holder of that project. It's also an AI play. I think AI is actually, there's a lot of specific things you can do on the AI side, right? So there's, I think, and also to be honest here, AI people, they usually do non-crypto stuff. So if you have strong tech ability in AI and will potentially issue a token in the future doing like crypto AI project, you will have very few conversations. And I believe still AI can somehow bring a lot of value into crypto industry. So this is one specific sector we've been very interested in investing. And the other ones we've been very interested in is SocialFi. I think because we need social every day. People need social, right? So we have all these kind of massive application on the Web2 space, like WeChat in China, KakaoTalk in Korea, Line in Japan, of course WhatsApp in the Western country. So what if we putting everything into a decentralized way, right? So nobody is doing that. But I guess SocialFi is also an important way for us to embrace the massive adoption of crypto in the next forum. So this is something we've been very excited about as well.
And besides AI and SocialFi, now zero knowledge proofs is quite a hot topic. Did you invest into zero knowledge proofs projects?
Not too many, to be honest, but I think CK is definitely the future. There's one, of course we do invest some of them, but to be honest, not too many. But I guess CK still have a long path to go, because if you just simply use the network, on a layer 2 protocol, for example, or you're operating a node there, you will feel that there's still a lot of trouble there. So at least probably taking, I would say, kind of like a decade to mature. So for the CK technology, yeah.
And can you name any projects in ZK area you invested in?
Yeah, I think there's one layer 2 protocol called Metis. We invested in the project in the last ball run, and they probably will do something CK stuff in the future. Yeah.
Now I guess a lot of all these layer 2s, so layer 1s as well make the ZK rollups, it's the same as Polygon made the ZK Hermes.
Yeah, I guess the problem here is like ZK, there's so many ZK projects, but eventually we probably just need one or two, right? So
That's true, the strongest.
maybe three or four, right? But definitely not 50 ZK layer 2 protocols, right? There's no point about doing that. So I guess, eventually, I guess the top three will be the winner. But, Vast right now seems slightly overvalued or whatever. So I don't think I catch the trend. I really want to analyze what is the end game here. Probably the best three still have potential to grow. We can invest right now, but not for a lot of them, right? So that's really the strategy we have.